Ladies and gentlemen, it falls on me now to introduce to you our last, but by no means our least speaker for today's conference. Professor Attila Brungs is President and Vice-Chancellor of the University of New South Wales. He is a distinguished academic and higher education leader with extensive experience in the government and the corporate sectors. He's held senior roles with the CSIRO and with McKinsey & Company and a range of other leadership positions. He's also a Rhodes Scholar and a Doctor of Philosophy in Inorganic Chemistry, Fellow of the Academy of Technology and Engineering for his research and research leadership in the higher education sector. Vice-Chancellor.
Thank you kindly, Craig. I'd like to start, of course, by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Ngunnawal, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. It has been quite a tremendous day. Thank you all for being here, and to our special guests and panellists, in particular, a number of our former ambassadors, Beasley and Hockey, High Commissioner Brandis, and of course the Ambassador Shingo Yamagami from Japan. Now, I know Canberra is a city where conference rooms are often full of robust discussions 7 days a week, but it's not always with a common ideal at the core and trying to find a common solution. And that's what I think makes today a bit special. Here we are, about 150 experts in security and defence fields, and we share the ultimate objective created by the AUKUS partnership, a shared commitment to a stable, secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. But more than that, it's where our joint potential lies. We share the fundamental belief of working together can realise common objectives that is almost more powerful. We even heard in the very last panel there, the idea of interoperability being one of the core strategic advantages. On the day that AUKUS was launched, the US President Joe Biden said of AUKUS, "This is about investing in our greatest source of strength, our alliances." And cheeky, it might sound for me to agree with the President, I absolutely do. Because alliances, collaborations, partnerships, working together are a supreme source of strength, and not only in international relations. And so working together is the crux of today's conference. It is what drives the AUKUS partnership, and importantly, it is what drives the Plus Alliance. This is the partnership between Arizona State University, King's College London, and UNSW, where together we're focusing on solving challenges in global environment, health, and of course, safety and security. And that's of course why the Plus Alliance launched the Security and Defence Plus. And to spearhead this work, called a conference today to turbocharge our partnership with all of you in this room. I'm confident that the opportunity for us to work together for the safety, security and prosperity, and fundamentally the well-being of the Indo-Pacific region is why you're all here. But quickly, why the Plus Alliance on security and defence? To be frank, the idea that the Plus Alliance should stand behind AUKUS, supporting the intellectual engine, was a bit of a lay down misère. When Arizona State, King's and us formed Plus in 2016, we joined forces on the idea that research collaboration and importantly world-class education would provide global solutions that are needed at the moment. The Alliance has combined the research and education strengths of these three world-leading universities across 3 nations, with a myriad of disciplines, but with that overarching common purpose of providing global solutions and ensuring the well-being of people across the globe. And remember, this is where all the discussions today and more broadly are about when it comes down to it. The lives of individual people and how we can improve their lives or at least ensure their current well-being. So fast forward to last September, our 3 governments announced a partnership designed to ensure, as they said, peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific over the long term. So when we overlaid the new trilateral agreement, our existing expertise in the Plus Alliance universities, it made perfect sense that we should come together to support this statecraft with our research, our policy, and in the spirit of this new AUKUS partnership. It is of course important to acknowledge that the view of the Indo-Pacific region is different from each of our 3 nations. For Australia, it's pretty close to home. But that is actually part of the inherent tensile strength of Security and Alliance Plus, as it is for AUKUS itself, that each of our alliance partners has a different and unique national insight and expertise, as well as regional and global vision. And together we are far more than the sum of our individual parts. The views of the nations that make up the Indo-Pacific is also diverse, but again, our 3 nations bring multiple connections, different engagements with countries across the region that, again, when combined, provide a more positive outcome. The top-level issues that AUKUS seeks to address are common to our three countries, taking a long-term view. The challenges in the greater strategic competitiveness of the Indo-Pacific region and the increasing global complexity will be a feature for some time to come. So together, we must, as I said, keep the Indo-Pacific free of war, ensuring the lives of people across the region are peaceful and an environment that fosters prosperity, balance the national competing agendas, and maintain a mutually agreed framework as a system which is demonstratively historic to promote general well-being, and finally, of course, promote our shared values of freedom and democracy. But there are also challenging questions. How do we achieve all of this in an environment of increasing complexity and competing worldviews? Now that unipolarity has been consigned to history, how do we manage the change to multipolarity and the associated balances of power? How can we do that while protecting individual sovereign rights, the wishes, with ethical and moral imperatives? And ultimately, what do these challenges mean for Australians and, of course, the citizens of all three nations? So what can we as universities do to help? Professor Emma Spark, the Director and Dean down here at UNSW Canberra, described Security and Defence Plus this morning as supporting the intellectual engine behind AUKUS. And I quite like that characterisation. I like it because that's what universities have the capability to do. We focus on undertaking cutting-edge research. We see beyond the horizon. We just drive discovery and innovation. Critical, we work with industry and government partners to translate those insights, that discovery, into real-world and practical solutions. Never forget, we provide world-class education that equips our graduates with the knowledge and skills that our nation needs to build security and defence capability, not just for today, but for the future. And predicting where those skills go is quite an art. You heard earlier today, I think, lots of conversations about the workforce strategy. Universities in general are focusing on micro-credentials, short courses, not just about creating a new workforce, but upskilling and retraining the workforce that exists. Now, we're doing that in many areas, but I think more importantly than ever, it's how do we do that in the security and defence areas that will fundamentally enable our security alliance to move forward. We have, of course, partnerships and networks which span the globes at every level of community. Peter Khalil today spoke about the importance of community engagements, including development assistance and diplomacy. And of course, diplomacy comes often from long-term relationships and shared understandings. And finally, of course, what we do as universities is we can do all of these things, the education, the networks, the research, with a sense of independent academic rigour and integrity. So through this, our aim is to support the intellectual endeavours of all the other actors and advisors from government or industry in areas such as policy, research, capability building to enhance and complement these fields of expertise. As I said, we only conduct the best research. We aim to equip the best graduates. And we can only do that with real collaboration with partners, be they our security and defence partners. And that is, as I think you heard even in the last session, and been all over today, what working together means and why working together is such a core strength. It is also why the Security and Defence Plus, why we are here today. And we bring an ironclad commitment that we'll partner with the security and defence sector to build the capabilities necessary, of course, to advance AUKUS's goals. Importantly, in the closing, I'd like to talk a bit about our track record just to give everybody here confidence. We have a long history as a university of providing insight and expertise to our respective foreign and defence ministries. The Plus Alliance are each globally renowned for our innovation, expertise and scholarship in, of course, security, defence and international affairs. Speaking for UNSW, I know Professor Sparks this morning mentioned our 55-year partnership with the Australian Defence Force, of which we are very proud. What began in 1967 as a partnership with the ADF to deliver degree programs and approved courses to officers gave rise to the Australian Defence Force Academy in 1986 and is now known as UNSW Canberra at ADFA, providing education, training and research to equip serving officers with the capabilities fit for a modern defence force today and an even more modern defence force into the future. UNSW Canberra at ADFA has deep expertise in many defence-related fields. Further, across the university and based in Canberra, we have our Defence Research Institute and the Embroidery Academy of UNSW Sydney. We have leading academics in quantum technology, cyber, hypersonics, artificial intelligence, undersea operations, nuclear propulsion, robotics, space technology, and there are more. I encourage you to pick up the book of the AUKUS Defence Capability Portfolio if you haven't had a chance to look at it. Even when I had that book myself, and I know university very well, even I was surprised at just the breadth and depth of some of the research across the university. And across all these fields, we have people who really want to make a difference. And as I said again at the beginning, it is about people and the people interaction that brings us strength. You'll observe from Professor Michelle Simmons' keynote that the AUKUS technology potentials at UNSW is home to the world's best, literally the world's best researchers in cutting-edge technology like quantum computing and communication technologies. These are fields which are going to be absolutely vital into the future, and once again, will give partnerships like this a distinct global advantage. In April, we secured $50 million in federal government funding as part of a $150 million program called the Defence Trailblazer, Concept to Sovereign Capability Project. We're working, of course, with the University of Adelaide on this. But the heart of this Trailblazer is also industry partnerships, both big and small. And you heard earlier today the criticality of the private sector, highlighted by former Ambassador Joe Hockey. Professor Sparks spoke about UNSW launch in Canberra, but we also have them down in Sydney as well, which hosts more than 250 defence staff in small to medium enterprises here in Canberra, and also launches a whole lot of startups. We welcome you, of course, to be part of this. Again, emphasising what we heard today about the criticality of startups and entrepreneurials, and again, the involvement of the private sector if we are to move forward. Were my colleagues, Professor Michael Crowe, the President of ASU, or Kshitij Kapoor, the President and Principal of King's, here with me today, I'm sure they'd be pleased to share all their university's credentials to you. But in their absence and on behalf of them, it is my privilege to assure you on behalf of all three universities of our readiness to work with our partners to advance this cause. So, thank you very much everyone for being here today. Thank you particularly to the Security and Defence Plus team, Professor Stockings, Associate Professor Baker from UNSW, Ryan Shaw from ASU, and I saw Professor John Gearson from King's College London. This morning you saw a video from Michael and Kshitij and I about the ambition of this new initiative. But I would like to leave you with Kshitij's final line from the film, which I think perfectly captures the raison d'etre of what Defence and Security Plus is trying to do. He said, "Together we can help ensure a safe, secure, sustainable and just global future." Thank you very much, everybody.